The budget remains completely failure. So ma'am, the budget reminds me of the movie Three Idiot, where Amir Khan's character, Rancho, BJP's budget follows the same playbook, advertising tax relief while ensuring the burden is transferred through hidden economic policies that favor big corporations and the elite, leaving small businesses and working class struggling. Never underestimate the power of the common man. And they are all, every Indians who's watching this, who has seen the budget, who has voted in 24 and is going to vote again, exercise their franchise, they are far better scriptwriters than the BJP members of this house. BJP stands for Bhashan, Jumla and Propaganda. I'll start with Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Launched with much hype and fanfare to promote girl child education and welfare, yet over 80% of the scheme's budget was spent on publicity rather than spending it on the actual benefit for girls. Then I come to Jan-Dhan Yojana, bank accounts without bank services. Under the Jan-Dhan Yojana, 54.66 crore, that means 50 crore, 54 crore, 66 lakh accounts were opened. But 11 crore, 58 lakh accounts remains inoperative. And out of this 54 crore accounts, 33 crore, 67 lakh accounts have balance less than 1,000 rupees. Ma'am, they spoke about doubling farmers' income, a forgotten promise. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana benefit insurance companies more than the farmers. Smart Cities Mission, hype versus reality. They promised over 100 smart cities, but most projects today remain on paper or are rather incomplete. Basic infrastructure in many towns are crumbling while funds remain underutilized or diverted to beautification projects. They spoke about making in India. That means they spoke about revolutionizing the manufacturing industry. But what is the reality and truth of Make in India? More imports, less manufacturing. Unemployment. They promised about 2 crore jobs every year. But in reality, unemployment remains at a 45-year high. They promised houses for all by 2022. Yet another broken promise. In 2015, a promise was made to provide every household a home by 2022. 3 years later, in 2025, as the deadline passed, millions still await promised homes, highlighting delays and unmet expectations. Pattern, if you look at the pattern, big announcement and half execution, or rather zero execution. Madam, in Bihar, BJP's ally, Janata Dal United or JDU, have 12 seats. That means BJP has 12 MPs in Bihar. And in Bengal, BJP has 12 MPs. BJP is in power in Bihar and BJP is not in power in Bengal. So Bihar gets bonanza, Bengal gets blockade. This is half federalism. Madam, not a single meaningful financial allocation has been made for the state of Bengal. This is a Bangla Birodhi budget. 1.7 lakh crore is still due to the state of West Bengal under various heads. This is a deliberate financial blockade, a calculated move to stifle Bengal's growth, prosperity and development. West Bengal's spending due on Manrega to the tune of 7,000 crore still remains unpaid, depriving 59 lakh poor workers. The state has launched Karmashri scheme for providing employment opportunities to job card holders, paying 51 lakh workers from its own funds. The central government has not cleared 8,140 crores in housing dues for rural Bengal under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, depriving 12 lakh beneficiaries. The state government launched the Banglar Bari project last year in the month of December, providing housing to 12 lakh beneficiaries entirely from the state's own funds. Why am I giving you these facts? Because all of you, especially the members sitting in the treasury benches, must know, even though you have deprived West Bengal, the state continues to stand tall as a true testament, an example of Atma Nirbharata, where the mind is without fear, where the head is held high. Chitto jeta bhoy shunno, uchcho jeta shir. While the center withhold funds and play politics with the people of Bengal and their livelihoods, Bengal refuses to beg. We build, we provide, we progress, we grow with or without their support. Bengal has more than doubled its export in the last 10 years. 57 lakh new MSMEs have been added, employing over 1 crore people. Bengal's handloom industry employs over 5 lakh workers, which is the second highest in the country. The state's broadband policy, formulated in 2020, resulted in investment of 7,500 crore in the telecom sector alone. Almost 3 lakh direct employment has been generated in IT companies. Bengal has over 88 lakh MSMEs, which is the second highest in the country. 1 out of 5 MSME are owned by women, which is highest in the country. 36% of workers in these enterprises are female, third highest in the country. Ma'am, they spoke about doubling farmers' income, a forgotten promise. They promised to double the farmers' income by 2022. We are in 2025. But today, farmers are drowning in debt, facing stagnant crop prices, rising input costs, and no legal MSP guarantee. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana benefit insurance companies more than the farmers. Smart Cities mission, hype versus reality. They promised over 100 smart cities, but most projects today remain on paper or are rather incomplete. Basic infrastructure in many towns are crumbling, while funds remain underutilized or diverted to beautification projects. They spoke about making in India. That means they spoke about revolutionizing the manufacturing industry. But what is the reality and truth of Make in India? More imports, less manufacturing. Local industry today struggles under the rising imports from China, inconsistent policies, and low capital investment. Instead of boosting domestic production, India's trade deficit with China has skyrocketed over the years. Unemployment, they promised about 2 crore jobs every year. But in reality, unemployment remains at a 45-year high. They promised houses for all by 2022, yet another broken promise. In 2015, a promise was made to provide every household a home by 2022. 3 years later, in 2025, as the deadline passed, millions still await promised homes, highlighting delays and unmet expectations. Pattern, if you look at the pattern, big announcement and half execution, or rather zero execution. From infrastructure to education, health to employment, BJP's governance is a pattern of half delivery. Grand promises, incomplete execution, and shifting blame when failures are exposed. This budget is like when I went through the budget, I was here when Madam Finance Minister presented the budget, but later I went through the budget document. Ma'am, all I realized is this budget is like those promises where you promise free meals, but charges exorbitantly for, giving a chair to sit, free water, service. So this budget is like a buffet that promises free meal, but charges exorbitantly for water, service, and cutlery. While taxpayers find momentary relief in minor reduction in income tax slabs, the government swiftly offsets these benefits through indirect taxes on fuel, essential commodities, rising road tolls, and higher consumer good prices driven by the increased GST rates. It's evident that these reliefs are nothing more than a mere illusion. Much like the Jio's once free data plans, attracting millions of users at a time, and then they raise the tariff sharply, which now comes monthly at a hefty price tag. The government claims to provide relief, but the reality for the middle class tells a different story. Let me give you another small example, and these are real examples. The government claims of an 80,000 tax benefit for an individual whose income is 12 lakh rupees annually. But it's nothing but a misleading farce. They thumb their chest about relief while simultaneously bleeding the common taxpayer dry through GST and unchecked inflation. A taxpayer in this income bracket, that means someone who is earning 12 lakh rupees annually, spends on essential categories like food, housing, education, healthcare, railway travel, air travel, transport, recreation, and each of these are subjected to steep GST rates under NDA's failed economic policies. The result, if you do a quick calculation, you will see that someone earning 12 lakh rupees ends up inadvertently paying 98,000 in GST. So the illusion of 80,000 tax benefit that BJP is desperately trying to sell, in reality is snatched away from GST alone. That means someone earning 12 lakh rupees is inadvertently having to pay 98,000 rupees on the account of GST alone. Then you have surcharges, you have cess, you have toll tax, you have many other tax. You have STT, security tax. And why I talk about GST? Because whatever one required to exist, madam, from medicines to tea, from toiletries to toothpaste, from hair oil to cooking oil, from fuel to oxygen cylinders, from rice to sugar, from butter to ghee, from undergarments to footwear, from biscuits to even popcorn at the movies, everything is taxed. In fact, more is lost to GST than they claim to give back. To make matters worse, there are several other taxes like I mentioned. There is toll tax, there are security transaction tax, there are cesses, there are surcharges, and then there's inflation also, which continues to erode whatever little remains. With an average 6% annual inflation, if someone is earning 12 lakh rupees today, that will shrink down to 10 lakh in 3 years. The only thing that is not taxed, or is rather untouched, is BJP's list of misleading promises and their sheer incompetence. That's only untaxed. The budget remains completely failure, and the budget also reminds me from a scene from a popular movie of Three Idiots. All of us have seen the movie. It went very popular, and throughout caste, creed and religion, everyone loved the movie. So ma'am, the budget reminds me of the movie Three Idiots, where Amir Khan's character, Rancho, exposes the education system's obsession with rote learning over genuine understanding. Similarly, today's government reminds me of the deceptive college director virus. And the role of virus was played by, I'm not talking about the viruses present here, I'm talking about the college director virus whose role was played by Boman Irani. So the college director virus, what he used to do? He used to offer flashy numbers, grand schemes that prioritized ranking over real progress. Much like virus, the focus seems to be on the surface level over real achievements, presenting a polished image rather than addressing the true needs of the people. Or if we take a page from the history, the British during the colonial rule, they promised reforms while continuing to exploit India's resources. BJP's budget follows the same playbook, advertising tax relief while ensuring the burden is transferred through hidden economic policies that favor big corporations and the elite, leaving small businesses and working class struggling. Madam, the budget presented over the last 1 decade perfectly sums up NDA and the BJP's version of Achhe Din, reflecting not just their grand narrative, but also the harsh reality of common people's struggle under the NDA's rule and regime. If I'm a citizen of India, I have to pay tax on the money I earn. If I'm a citizen of India, I have to pay tax on the money I spend. I'm a citizen of India, I have to pay tax on the things I buy. I have to pay tax on the things I sell. And moreover, pay tax on things that are already taxed, bought with money that is already taxed. Correct. Just imagine, you earn, you pay tax. You spend, you pay tax. You buy, you pay tax. You sell, you pay tax. And then you pay tax on things those are already taxed from the money that is already taxed. This sums up the budget completely. The people of India have woken up, and they will no longer be misled by these empty promises and false claims. The government must pay attention to the aspirations of 140 crore citizens. If they don't, they should brace themselves. What started as a teaser in June 2024 will soon become a full-blown blockbuster. After all, the saying goes, never underestimate the power of the common man. And they are all, every Indian who's watching this, who has seen the budget, who has voted in 24 and is going to vote again, exercise their franchise, they are far better scriptwriters than the BJP members of this house. India now sees the truth clearly. BJP stands for Bhashan, Jumla and propaganda, where speeches replaces real action. And NDA stands for, well, no prize for guessing, not delivering anything. Thank you, Madam. Jai Hind.